What do you get when you combine an old Chevy C60 potato hauler with a Ford Super Duty front frame section, a custom dual axle rear suspension, an aluminum rollback body, and a 408 cubic inch LSA supercharged engine? Well, if we're lucky, today we might just be creating the world's fastest off-road record. I've got the power plant loaded in the back of my pickup with a whole bunch of go-fast parts, and I'm headed down to Hurricane, Utah to help Matt and the crew get the engine installed, wired up, and fired up. And of course, if you know me, you know that today there's gonna be some burning rubber. So pretty much you guys dropped me off in, when you come out, it's August, right? Yeah. August or September, you guys came out and you brought me a junkyard motor. And pretty much the only thing that we have reused is the block and a handful of covers. That's pretty much it. Wow. Everything else, new crank, new rods, new pistons, new heads, a couple of new sensors on there. But hopefully 650-ish horsepower is kind of what we're going for. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do is just pop the valve covers off. I didn't put the push rods or the valve train in yet, just because when I was putting this motor together, they're custom length push rods. Of course, they have since arrived, so let's get it set up. I forget what we ended up with. 7,350 was the length. And the process that I use for this is I'll basically slide them down into the lifter. I don't know where the engine is. I think I left it at top dead center, but it's been a minute. All right, so both of those are on the base circle. Now, let's open up our lifters.
I was right about the wire.
That's me not paying attention. The LSA cylinder head uses an offset rocker arm for the exhaust port, or the intake port rather. So you can't just grab the first one out of the box. You actually have to pay attention.
Is that this one right here?
That's that one right there.
So is this made by GM or is this?
Yeah, no, this is a GM original LSA head.
Okay.
Same port as like the LS3, so it's a really good flowing cylinder head, but they make this head out of a slightly different alloy, so it's a little bit stronger for the supercharged application.
I see.
So pretty much from here up, this is a more or less a stock LSA, but we're going to be spinning it a little bit faster.
I don't know how he can be in the engines and not be a Ford guy. Those things need to be worked on all the time.
That's probably why.
So parts update.
Yes.
Everything will be here today except for the 6-foot hose and the 8-foot hoses.
Okay, that's perfect. We can at least get started on mounting.
Yeah. So they usually hit here about noonish.
Okay.
Coming UPS.
Perfect.
Look at these things. This is a heat resistant. This is the same stuff they use on the space shuttle somewhere.
So that'll just help stop the heat from the engine soaking your blower. Theoretically should give you better inlet air temps, and it's going to help us get clearance around the water pump neck. Just, you can even put it on the cylinder head, just it doesn't have to be much at all, just a little thin film around each of the ports.
See you in a minute.
Okay, come on.
Go. Get out of here.
By the way, check the fuses. Okay. So I do owe a shout out to Lance from R&D Performance Fabrication for the Supercharger. So if you guys need any sort of LSA, whether it's the blower, the belt drive, or anything like that, R&D Performance Fabrication, those are the guys to check out. He actually got me The 6-foot blower pulley down here, those are a little bit hard to come by now. He got me the injectors. We're running 1000cc injectors on this one. You got the lid, the intercooler, pretty much everything that we need to get this LSA up and running on the 408. And this is ready to go on pretty much. So they do say that we ought to put the bolts into the blower before it gets lowered down, just because we have all those little washers on there and we do not want to drop one of those down in the intake port. So Matt, I'm sure you've answered this on your channel, but a lot of my viewers want to know. Get a big heavy truck, we need a powerful power plant. Why not a diesel? Why do you like gas engines?
Oh man, it's not just gas engines, it's gas engines. Oh, this is complicated, but it's reaction time. So when you're in low traction situations where you need to use momentum and traction and every tool that's possibly available to you to get through it. A diesel is way too slow reacting, way too slow. Even the modern ones that react fast are too slow. That's why.
All right. All right, so this is the lid. That is the heat exchanger, which we have modified a little bit. Under elevated boost conditions, supposedly you can collapse the end, so we just had a little reinforcement plate welded on there. Coolant enters here, passes through, takes away the heat from the compressed air, comes back out the other side.
Noticed.
All right, so this lid is actually from, they have two lids, little tidbit of knowledge. This is from the ZL1 Camaro.
Oh.
The CTSV uses a slightly different lid, but this one looks way cooler.
She wants to see them.
Next thing we're doing, just putting these injectors in. These are 1000 cc's. Oh look, they're even labeled number 6. So that would be, now I gotta concentrate. 246.
They're numbered?
They are numbered. They're probably flow matched and all that good stuff. That one.
Look at that thing. Look. Oh, wow. How many millimeters is that?
90 of them.
90 millimeters. What do I usually have? Like 70?
If you have a Gen 3, they're 78. I think 76 or 78.
Is Jamie
Yeah.
All right, so that's pretty much the engine put together. Now we're just gonna get the spud truck rolled in, yank the old engine out, and hopefully this one fits in this place. All right, our valve covers actually showed up just in the nick of time, so we'll swap the gasket over and get them on. These are the Holley tall powder coated black valve covers. I think we're clear now to slide it out.
Well, this whole thing comes out.
I was just worried about scratching the paint. That was all I was worried about.
On its first service.
Ah, the zip tie. The mortal enemy of the sealed wheel.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pull the tail shaft driver for me just a touch, if you can. Yep. Oh. Okay. Hey, that's in.
Wow, that's it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
that's the moment.
That's in.
Done.
It's a good day.
All right, so we got the engine in. That's kind of the easy part because they already had an LS in here. So now I'm just gonna start putting some of the other stuff that Holley sent us on. We get exhaust manifolds, we have coils, we get like a million other things. So just while the front end of the truck is still out of the way, we get easy access, accessory drive and all that. So It's in though.
He says we have a million things, but it's 1,000,001.
1,000,001. I like it. Fun fact, I think Matt probably mentioned this already, but these are actually S10 LS swap manifolds, but they happen to fit very well. Fits beautifully.
So, are you one that holds your breath till it fires?
Oh, that is the most nerve-wracking moment. Like, I'm probably one of the most OCD people I know when it comes to like double checking and putting this stuff together. And it's like, I know it's going to be fine, but until it actually fires up, is always like, oh no, what did I forget? What did I miss? All right, so the next thing we got to do is get some spark to this engine. So coils, got a bunch from Holly, Street Fire, something or other. Get the Excel ceramic coated boots just so they will resist all the heat that these guys are probably going to put in there. So we're actually getting pretty close to just putting a harness on here and hopefully turning the key. Well, not pretty close, but sort of kind of close.
Find a magic bolt that is a little bit longer. So see how this one's treated with your mission.
Something kind of like that. Cool.
What's the name of the place? Speed Vegas. Speed Vegas. How many extra hands do you need?
7.
I can drop things.
Okay, well I can handle that much. I don't need extra help dropping, but if you hold those front spacers closest to the engine, just that way so they don't fall off, it's going to go right there.
Wow.
This might be fast enough to take out the Cletus's track.
Oh, it is a tow truck race.
Yeah. Rory did challenge Cletus to a tow truck race. And I don't have anything that I could even consider that. I wonder how fast this is. Do you think so? Turn down a 18?
How much is it going to weigh, you think?
A lot.
A lot.
It's going to be 10,000 pounds.
Take off the bed.
You never know.
Because they're like, there's only 11 inches from the...
All right, end of day one. This is what we have. We got an engine sitting in the frame. We have this half of the accessory drive on. We're actually making really good progress, so I'm pretty confident we'll hear this thing run before you know it. Oh wait, I have to do the thing. And we'll be back just like this. Is that what you do?
Oh, you got to do it like this.
All right, we're day 2 on the spud truck project. Good headway yesterday. Today we're going to do some more plumbing. We got an early start this morning on the power steering lines. Got the torque converter bolts attached down to the flex plate. And I think for the rest of the day, we get a mount a reservoir, finish up the power steering plumbing, and then I think, what, after that, maybe we move on to like mounting the computer and getting the wire harness run?
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's what I want.
All right. No, we're getting close, so let's carry on.
Man, somebody did well their way that knows what they're doing. And I slap that puppy together.
If he had his thing there.
Matt.
I'm gonna put it. Here it is. Gonna stab that thing right on there.
Wait, what about the blue paint?
Oh, blue paint? We do have blue paint. Robbie will fix it.
Oh, all right. Let Robbie fix it.
Robbie will fix it.
When they say push lock, they mean it. That sucker's going nowhere.
He's very strong.
Happy with it?
I'm happy with it. Just need one more fitting. They're overnighting that. We'll be ready. All right, so after just a little bit of a back and forth, not sure which one to look at.
Oh yeah, we're doing this again.
2 cams. All right, so after a little bit of back and forth going through the fittings that we brought with us and what we had here, we're gonna put a single 3/8 MPT bung down here so we can run our -8 feed into the pump. And there's some bungs in the top of the tank already we can run our return into. So, gotta drill a hole, do a little bit of welding.
Oh yeah, that's what we want.
Now the $1 million question is it gonna leak?
Say no.
No, it will not leak. Confident. So we got a lot of the big dots of the fuel system, connect the dots game kind of mounted. We're still gonna get the stuff underneath, the fuel filters in the pump. Matt's doing something under there right now. But in the meantime, I figured I'll start with the injection harness. And we have to get that mounted. We got to figure out a home for the terminator and then run the main harness. And then we have that and fuel lines and we're ready to fire. Number 6, you live there, and number 8 lives there. Now this big mess of wires, this is the main engine harness. So this is going to connect to the coil sub harness, the injector sub harness. It's going to go up to the ECM. It's what feeds power to all the rest of the sensors. You get this map sensor, you get the coil side, O2, and so on. So we're just going to toss this and it's going to magically land, maybe, where it belongs. All right, so the end of day 2, we have a lot of stuff taken care of. This is one of those days where it feels like you're working a lot, but you don't really get a whole lot done. But just the same, we have made some progress. So I think tomorrow we will do, fuel system. We never finished that up. So tomorrow we'll get filters and pumps mounted and build the hoses and then start it. All right, so we get all the wiring on the engine bay side pretty much wrapped up. So now we just got to make a couple of satisfying connections in here. And I think the wiring is pretty much squared away. There's a computer. Obviously not permanently mounted, but you get the idea. Just gonna go get a bunch of wood and start drilling holes in it for fun now. It's like solved all the problems that you'd have with a traditional drill press. Those 3 little handles that can spin around and hit you in the face. Let's get a single wheel. It's like, oh, that's a little too fast. Let's 882 RPM. That's the ticket. I need one. All right, so this guy right here is a fuel pressure regulator bracket. Started out with an existing bracket, chopped the end off of it because it needs to be further away from the firewall and have a little bit of an angle. So we're just going to kind of weld those two together. We'll sand it and paint it up, and it'll hold the thing it needs to hold.
That's the quietest drill press I've ever
I know. I love it. All right, so just laying out the major components for the fuel system to get the fuel from the tank up to the engine. And this is what Holly sent us. We have, I guess we'll start at the engine side, get a regulator. This is what controls the pressure. Then working backwards, we have, this guy will come next, a 10 micron filter to keep all the dirt out of the injectors. We have the pump itself, and the pump is protected from the tank by this 100 micron filter. So I've got all these little brackets made. They're fairly simple. They're just little 90-degree L-shaped things that's going to attach to the frame. That's going to hold each component in place. And all I got to do is build the lines to connect the two. So I'm going to go under the truck. So the next thing that I want to at least get knocked out just for the first fire up is have some sort of an exhaust to have the O2 sensor sitting in. This type of EFI system uses the wideband, so it kind of sort of tunes. But anyway, short version is I need an O2 sensor in the exhaust, so I think I'll just start with something like that. Weld the pipe with the flange, weld the sensor in, and have a little bit of pipe going beyond so it reads accurately. That just feels so wrong. So we got our fuel line materials in finally. So that's like one of the last things we're gonna do before we fire it up. So I gotta build like 82 gazillion of these. All right, so this is Friday morning, and I think today is finally the day that we're gonna hear this thing run. Last night we stayed a little bit late. I got the fuel system 100% done. Haven't leak checked it, that's still on the list. We have the wiring harness super temporarily like ran inside the cab, and like we're gonna start it with a wire being touched to the battery, stuff like that. But we're like in the final leak checks, and we're so close to starting this thing up. So let's do it.
We're live.
We are. This is scary. I don't know if I want to start it.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I want to hear this thing howl.
If my feet start getting wet, I'm gonna yell. I don't know who did it, but whoever welded that bung on that tank did a stellar job. Okay. No drips. So I don't know what it is, but every single system that I ever plumb, there's always one or two fittings that I forgot. And not to like attach, but just get to snug it up. So we have one leak, and hopefully it's our only.
No, I'm just giving her a treat.
This is the most important thing I want you to watch. This is oil pressure.
Okay.
Within the first 5 to 10-ish seconds of running, this should come up to 60, 70, 80, somewhere in there.
Okay, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, and if it doesn't come up within that amount of time, or if we holler, just flip it off. All right, contact.
Contact. So it died?
Yeah, it had a slight miss while we were warming up, and then it got a little bit worse and worse. So I don't know what's going on there quite yet. Yeah, I shot fire over here too.
Tell me what you found. Oh,
I found that I'm awesome. No,
he is awesome.
well, when I wired in, do we want the technical version or the short version?
You're gonna have to do both.
All right, short version. I had two wires mixed up. Long version, the reason why I had those two wires mixed up is because we converted this Gen 3 engine to a LS2 front timing setup, which uses a slightly different cam sensor. Close to the same issue you had on the record. Normally this jumper harness is installed, and even though it has the same connector on the cam sensor, this jumper harness swaps positions of pins A and C. So basically, by getting rid of this, I didn't have that translation. Unplugged the cam sensor, depinned it, swapped the two pins around, plugged it back in, and we're in business.
Yay.
Where's the pizza?
Pizza time.
Oops, sorry, no.
They're gonna have some fun with that one.
Woo! That makes me feel better.
Well, fire it up, warm it up, drive it around.
Dude, that thing's an animal. It's a tank, dude.
It is.
It rides like a dream.
Yeah.
Rolling burnouts. That was so cool.
I want to redo that gauge just a little bit. I want to see what kind of boost we're putting out, because when I pulled on it didn't show the boost gauge. But they had good air fuel when you're on throttle, low 12s. Coolant temp did good. As soon as we're rolling, it kept it stable. That is cool. It's loud. That is one loud tow truck.
I didn't think you'd spin the wheels in that. It does.
It does.
You're running out without a fan blade?
Yeah. It's staying cool.
You know, some people are afraid of breaking in an engine and, you know, driving cautiously for the first 500 miles, but I think this is the way to go. Full throttle. So I get to drive it now, which is gonna be awesome. I don't think I've ever driven anything. Well, no, that's a lie. I've driven dump trucks before, but I've never driven anything sporty with 6 wheels.
A sporty dump truck?
A sporty dump truck. That's the new name. A sporty dump truck. Keep your eye on it too. I want to see what the KPA goes up to. Give us an idea of how much boost we're running. And then the other thing I'll try to pay attention to, but coolant temp, so just make sure it doesn't get too hot. All right, boost, 160 kVAs, probably 10. Woo! You're gonna have to get some exhaust on this thing. She a little noisy. Coolant temp okay? 184. Hardly any throttle at all to get that thing moving. Moves pretty good. Yeah. All right, Matt did one, so I'm gonna try it too. That is ridiculous. I like it a lot.
I should have brought earplugs.
yeah, my ears are going to be ringing for a minute after this, but
It's way louder inside than outside.
yeah,
Yeah. Holy.
Important.
dude, that is so cool.
Thank you so much.
This is huge. Oh. We saw about 100. What do you say, Colin? 170 kPa.
162 was the top.
Okay, so that's. I could do the conversion. I think that's around like 10 psi.
Okay.
And we can change pulley size if it's too much or too little.
That's too
easy.
little. We need more.
That's perfect. That's normal.
Yeah, it's gonna have a little vapor in there. Need to get a PCV system on it, air filter, and a million other little things. But everything's solid. I'm happy. All right, guys, that's going to bring this video to a close. And I got to say thank you so much for watching, especially if you're new to the channel. And thank you so much to Matt from Matt's Off-Road Recovery for having me help him out on this project, because it has been a ton of fun. The spud truck is now probably one of my absolute favorite off-road projects that I've been involved with. So if you want to learn more about the Spud Truck project, check out his channel, Matt's Off-Road Recovery. If you want to learn more about the engine build that we put together for it, I've got another video that you can check out. It's a 404 cubic inch stroker LS with an LSA supercharger on top. The video shows all the detail of what went into the engine. And again, thank you guys so much. This has been a blast, and it brings our fun in Utah to an end.
Okay.
Colby said go slow.